It's Monday morning, so that means it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, day 4 for me. Is it already? I've already lost track. But yeah, it's Monday morning. Yesterday was a very eventful day, very challenging day with Medano Pass, but all in all a very fun day. And then I decided rather than heading way over towards my eventual goal of the west side of the state, it just wasn't worth rushing and trying to find a place right at sunset, because I knew I have an extra day. No, today's Sunday. Now I'm so confused. Hold on. All right, yeah, it is Monday. Good morning, Monday morning. A little confused, but yeah, today is the day that Jordan is probably already up and driving as fast as he can over to Albuquerque, Santa Fe area, somewhere in there. I forget exactly where he's going to camp tonight, but he's got like 15 hours of driving, so good luck to you, buddy. Stay awake, stay alert. But yeah, so today, or last night, I figured, you know what, I got a whole day to get over to the west side of Colorado, assuming that the highways are drivable, that they've plowed them and whatnot. That, I mean, even that I could probably drive slow, and hell, if I made it over Medano Pass, I could probably make it over the paved roads, just taking it slow all day. But last night I didn't want to rush. I wanted to take my time and actually set up camp, and, well, not set up everything, but just chill, read a book, enjoy some beverage, you know. So it was a good night. Didn't really stay outside too much just because it kept snowing just a little bit, just enough to get things wet. It's 12 degrees right now, so even though night before last I was at 10,000 feet and it was kind of windy, not too bad, but a little bit windy. But now we're at 8,500 feet or 8,700, somewhere in there. But it's colder. I don't know if it's just a cold front moved in or just a different part of the state or whatever. But we got a couple inches of snow. Everything's all covered up white now. I mean, not completely, you can still see some rocks and trees and whatnot. And then there's the Natural Arch Formation. Looks pretty cool with a dusting of snow on it. I've been up for about an hour, letting the Forerunner warm up, although it's more letting me warm up. Probably would have been better just to start it driving immediately, but just to help it warm up with everything moving. But you can see it's still covered in snow. That'll work its way loose. Here's the rest of the parking area. So it's a pretty morning. It's chilly, but because it's not windy, it's tolerable. So yeah, I'm gonna make my way out of here slowly and head towards Durango, see if I can find a place for some breakfast, hang out for a little bit before. I think what my goal is today, rather than finding somewhere in the national forest, I was looking at a couple places north of Mancos or Dolores, kind of in that area, but I think I can make it all the way down to the southwest corner to that national monument. Someone reported a nice campsite not too far from some of the ruins, and that'll put me in prime position for tomorrow morning, because tomorrow, hopefully, Jordan and I will be meeting at noon in Bluff, Utah. And so that'll give me, you know, I'll only have like an hour or two worth drive, and so I won't have any pressure to rush. It would be cool to have a sled hit some of these hills, but it's also freezing cold. So, onto the road. So last night I started reading Maps of Meaning by Jordan Peterson. It's going to take me a while because that book, that man is very verbose. He uses a... Let's see here. Keep going there. No, that's right. That was that other campsite I might have taken. Anyway, it's not super easy reading. I don't know if he meant for it to be like a college course book versus a casual reader book or what, but anyway, he starts off talking about how he grew up, and by the time he got to college, I guess he had some really, he studied political science initially, and then after he got his 3-year degree in that, he moved on to psychology, which he decided he had more of a passion about. When he was studying psychology, he started having these post-apocalyptic dreams, really fierce, intense kind of dreams. And that wasn't like anything in there was like, frightening or over the top. I mean, it wasn't like reading a Stephen King novel or something weird like that. But for some reason last night I had a strange dream that was, I guess you could call it post-apocalyptic. I had this dream that, well, it started off kind of weird because it was sort of like this school play kind of thing. But then, out of nowhere, we learned that dinosaurs have invaded everywhere, the whole city. It's like Jurassic Park, I guess, and I haven't even really watched any of the movies except for the first 2, I think. But it's kind of like that, like all the dinosaurs are loose, we gotta get out of here. It's really weird, like I was trying to find all my family members, keep everybody quiet, figure out how we're gonna get from one building to the next, keep the baby quiet so that he doesn't alert the velociraptors. It's really weird. Why would I have that dream when I'm out here in this winter wonderland? Maybe part of me thinks there's dinosaurs out here. Not really, just kidding, but I don't know. The brain is a weird thing. So I think that might be, I can't tell. There's a bunch of bluffs like that one right up ahead. And when I was driving out here yesterday, it was only 15 miles. I don't know. Wasn't that far. But there's people that live out here, like a lot of people. Not just 1 or 2, but there was at least 30 houses. Just off of the dirt road came off the highway. They weren't spread out too, like, it makes sense if they were, like, we each had a ranch that was, 10, 20, 30 acres, whatever. It was like a little subdivision. It was interesting. Alright, so here's that little community I was telling you about. Maybe I exaggerated on the houses, but got this guy up here up front. They got some sort of dish thing up here, and then they got solar panels. That's smart. And way back beyond them, there's 1 or 2 houses. And then past this hill, over there, there's at least a couple houses, maybe more. But you can see the backdrop on their houses is really pretty. Secluded lifestyle, except for when campers come out to video document your house. One more house before we leave the little community. This guy is creative. That finally figured out that's a mobile home that he's expanded upward. So I don't know if it's just to give it more headroom, or if it's got bunk beds, or maybe there is such a thing as a 2-story mobile home. But that looks pretty much home built right there, like custom made. You see all the plywood and everything. So I just came out from the valley, you know, surrounded by those local mountains. I don't know if you can see this far, but look at the bigger mountains off in the distance, just blanketed in clouds. Might be getting some fresh snow. Okay, so it's about 10:30. I left camp early this morning, of course, and drove over Highway 160. I forget the name of the pass. I think it's Wolf Pass. I'm not really sure. So I stopped in Pagosa Springs. I realized I wasn't going to get to Durango before, you know, like 10 o'clock when most people stop serving breakfast and start switching towards lunch. And I really wanted to have something breakfasty. And I lucked out. So this place here, Two Chicks and a Hippie. Highly recommend it if you find yourself in Pagosa Springs. Really good coffee, really friendly servers, and really good breakfast. So, of course, it took me a little longer than what Google thought to get over the pass because it was really snowy. So I took it nice and slow, like 30 miles an hour at some point. It's saying 2 hours to get over to Cortez. So I might stop in Durango, but I don't really know what I would do. I'm probably just going to bust through there. So they'll put me in Cortez early afternoon, and then I can head up here towards, I think, Pleasant View is my last, like, city. Oops, sorry. There you go. And then I cut in here to the Canyons of the Ancients. And so that's where I'm going to hope to camp. So it's good that I'll have plenty of daylight to check out these ruins and find a good camp spot. And then if it just doesn't look like a good camp spot, I can come back towards Dolores and Mancos, and there's a whole bunch of national forest up here that I know I could just duck out and find something. Or worst case, I know there's a couple of state parks in the area too. So that's the plan. So it's about 1:30 p.m. We're just down to the Canyons of the Ancients, kind of just entering into it. And my first goal was to get to this trail here. There's a loop, and there's supposed to be some ruins here that you can camp at. And then I guess there's some other ruins over here. So I figured, you know, I'll just take the first trail and we'll take the other one out tomorrow or whatever. Maybe I'll drive the whole thing today. It doesn't look very far. Except at the entrance of the trail, there's these signs. I don't know if you can read that. It says road closed, no public access, no through traffic. So I don't know how long ago that happened. I've seen some reports of people camping out here, so maybe it's just this way and maybe the other way is open. So I'm going to drive down and take a look. If the whole loop is closed, then that's going to be kind of a bummer. So I'll have to go down the road and check it out. Alright, so you can see we're now at the other side of the loop, and you guessed it, same signs. Alright, so that one loop that I wanted to do up here, both sides says it was closed. I came down to this, there's another loop, a bigger one, and the first road that I passed, it didn't have any signs saying it was closed, and I figured, well, the ruins are kind of more on the other side, so let me come down here, and so I'm right here, not too far from the border, and I guess I could go on over to Hovenweep, but I wanted to see what the situation was here with the ruins and camping opportunities. So there's an informational sign. There's nothing on the sign like the other one where it says it's closed. I don't see anything saying keep out of here, you dirty rascals. So I think I can go explore. And then something else that caught my eye. I'm not really sure what this sign means. It might mean water this way, or maybe it means ancient ruins, or maybe it's where you find a genie in a bottle. I don't know. I don't understand that symbol. It almost looks like a bird too. Maybe that's the symbol for these ruins or Hovenweep. I don't know. I haven't seen it before. Alright, so went down that trail as I pointed out in the map last time, and it was surprisingly a little rough in a few spots. There was one side trail I started down, and it had a river crossing that had some pretty tall shelves. And after yesterday, I mean, I probably could pick a line and do it, but being out here by myself, I don't think it's worth the risk, since tomorrow I'll meet up with Jordan and then we'll have two of us so we can help each other out if we get stuck. Plus there's plenty of trip left to be had. So I went down the trail all the way to the end, and there's this Holly Springs. I'm about to go read the sign and read more about it, but you can just see the ruins over there past the Forerunner. So let's go take a look. Alright, so I hiked through the main part of the ruins here. There's a trail that goes like 4 miles into Utah. I'm not going to do that, but I'll show you some of the ruins on the way back now that I've made it to the end. But first, there's these markings on the rock down here. I forget what they called them, if they're hieroglyphs or petroglyphs. The lighting is really challenging because the sun is behind this, creating a shadow. Right in there, there's some little spirals. I can see at least 3. And so supposedly these were made a long time ago. I don't know how they got up in there. It's funny how graffiti artists always find a way to get to the craziest spots to tag their territory. But that's pretty cool. So I'm going to be hiking back that way, and then when I get back to the ruins, I'll show you some of that. Alright, so I only hiked like, what was that, 30, 40 yards. The markings were back there, and then if I pan around, there's the ruins. So you can see there's kind of a big tall one. That's like one of the major remnants up on the cliff of the canyon. The next to it, there's one that you can't really tell from here, but it's on top of a rock. I don't know if they had ladders or if the rock formations have changed since then, if there was sediment that's washed away, but that place was probably pretty secure from invaders. And then there's some other ones that are more degraded over off to the right. And then just beyond all of that is where I parked. Okay, hopefully you can hear me over the wind. Just a little bit closer to the ruins. Same thing as before. And then you can actually see where I parked. Just over here. Alright, so now we're on the other side. It's going to be a little bit harsh with the sunlight. But there's the one up on the edge. And then here's that one I was telling you about. You can see that thing is built way up there on that rock. That's pretty impressive. Okay, let's see, it's 3:20. The sun's starting to hang low, and I've found what I think is a pretty decent campsite. I only drove back a little ways. You can see maybe how harsh the sun is. Just over that ridge, maybe you can see the ruins that I was just at. And if I pan around, there's the trail. And then there's a little pull-out area. There's a little fire ring, but I don't have any firewood. Plus, it's really windy, so I don't think it's a good idea to do a fire anyway. But yeah, I mean, I've got a nice view of the canyon back there. The other ruins are kind of back that direction. There's a couple campsites back towards the other ruins, but they're not as off the trail as this one is, so I think this one will be pretty solitary for tonight. And since I got a couple hours, I'm gonna think through what I want to do tonight. I'm not sure. I might set up the tent just so I have a little extra room to wiggle around, and since it's a nice dry area and I'm not going to be in a rush tomorrow, so yeah, I might set it up tonight, and then I can actually sit up and read in comfort instead of inside the vehicle. It's kind of hard to do for sitting in the back. I look like a gnome. Alright, so I got the tent set up. Man, that's bright. Took about maybe 8 minutes to unpack it and deploy it. And then another 20 minutes or so to get the stakes down, to get that rigidizer thing on the overhang, and to get a few things packed up inside there, like the comforter and pillows, and then to deploy one of the windows. Since it's really windy, I don't think I want all of them deployed, but I figured that would be a pretty nice view for the night. It's looking south, I believe. So, yeah, sun's almost gonna set here. It's 4:25, and I don't know, I'm not sure there's any really good opportunities for a sunset picture, just the way that it's really just kind of flat out here. But maybe I'll get some pictures. But I'm going to try to cook up some dinner. I had breakfast, but that was about it today. So since I got this extra time, since I got the tent set up, since I got the light set up, I think there's no reason to not get some grub on. So later. All right. So got everything set up, made some dinner, and now I'm up in the tent. It's definitely windy out there. It's definitely getting cold. But I've been in some other windy situations in the tent and it held up just fine. Hopefully it'll stay dry all night. I didn't see any clouds in sight. Cooking dinner took a long time. I don't know if it's the altitude. I'm only at 50 or 5,000 some hundred feet. If it's just the wind kept blowing the Coleman stove flame, although you know, it does a really good job of never getting blown out. But yeah, I don't know if it's the iron skillet that's just got, you know, just cools off too quickly with the wind blowing against it. I don't know. It took a long time. I just basically grilled up, sliced up sausage, potatoes, onions, with a little butter, and then at the end put in a couple eggs and some cheese, just kind of like a breakfast scramble. But man, it took a long time. So I don't know, try to maybe set up the annex sometime and see if blocking the wind helps, although I hate cooking inside of a tent structure. So I'm going to see if I can get some of this video and pictures off the camera onto the computer and just make sure I got everything backed up, and start looking at the map for Utah. Hopefully Jordan is doing well. He told me he got a late start this morning, or not a late start, he said he was a few hours behind. He didn't tell me why, so hopefully he's doing okay, because we're supposed to meet up tomorrow, but obviously it's no big deal if that has to be delayed. But I haven't heard from him since this morning, so hopefully everything's alright. Of course, I have no signal out here either. Alright, that's it for tonight. Oh yeah, one thing I love about being in the tent, I can actually sit up. I mean, obviously you can sit up in the car, in the 4Runner, but in the sleeping arrangement I have in the back, it's hard to sit up because it's seats folded down and everything. Anyway, later.